What's up everybody, welcome back. So we got the weapon wheel done and worked out, so it's time to get back into the normal flow of things, and I actually have quite a lot of stuff worked out. So this is going to be a little quick sneak preview of things that are coming in the upcoming episodes. There's small quality of life stuff and there's bigger changes as well. So for example, I have a stamina bar right now, and if I dash I consume stamina. And there's also a message on the HUD if I don't have enough stamina, and that message is also used, for example, if I pick up stuff. So I have a Maverick and I pick up ammo and things like that. I have a nice message feed. I added some health pickups. I can't pick them up because I have full health right now. I added reload sounds to the weapon. I don't know if you could hear it, but there are reload sounds. Actually changed the damage, so we're gonna have distance-based damage and also location-based damage. So the damage is gonna fall off over distance, and depending on what body part of the enemy I hit, I'm gonna get a damage multiplier. So all those kinds of things are gonna be in. Then I added equipment inventory, so I have an equipment slot in my weapon wheel, and I can actually change equipment as well. So I added a second grenade type, and for example I can change that over here, and then I can throw a different type of grenade. So that's a freeze grenade, and I also have the normal grenades, so that's how that's gonna work. And we can also add other types of equipment later if we would like to. Then I also added a sniper rifle on request. So I kind of made this model. It's not perfect, but it kind of looks like a sniper. And we're gonna set it up with an actual scope. So I do need to work on the scope overlay image because that kind of sucks, but it's actually working. So we also have a sniper rifle now. And by the way, you can get this sniper rifle and the SMG as well as my LMG and my auto pistol by becoming a YouTube member or a Patreon, and then you will get the downloads for this project and also for the weapons that I made in Blender. So those are going to be in. Then I also worked on this little waypoint marker. So I have 3 random destinations in this map. This is just for testing. And if I press a button, it will display a waypoint to one of those destinations. So that's what we're gonna set up as well. And then there is one more thing that I did, but that's in another project. And that's this one. So we're gonna do a bit more of AI stuff, and I want to do a bit more advanced AI. So this is not really advanced because this is simply a turret, but we're gonna start by setting up a turret, and we're actually gonna make him have a perception, a behavior tree, and a blackboard. So that's an easy way to start because the actual logic on this guy isn't too complicated. So we're gonna set everything up with a blackboard and perception, so everything is working like it should. And then later we're also gonna work on more advanced AI, like ranged AI that can hide and attack the player from hiding spots and things like that. So those are things that are coming in the future. A little side note, I do want to make these waypoint and AI tutorials and things like that not especially a part of the multiplayer series, but I'm gonna make those separate series. And I'm gonna set them up with components and stuff like that, so they are easy to add to any project. So not specifically for the multiplayer project, but whatever project you like, you can add this stuff to. So yeah, that's a bunch of the stuff that's coming in the future. And today we're gonna start working on some small stuff in the multiplayer project. So let me see, we're gonna do some stuff with the HUD. We're gonna do some fixes for Eli in the weapon selection menu and make some pickups work. And we can possibly add health pickups in this episode as well. So let's get started. So let's start by looking at some Eli stuff, and the first thing is the physical material. So if I fire at him right now, we do get the impact spark that we added ourselves from the minions, but we don't get the physical impact that we added from the Lyra project. So there should actually be another impact effects playing if we shoot him, so we're gonna fix that. And we're also gonna take a look at the loadout character. So there is no unarmed animation for Eli. So for example, if I unequip, there's no unarmed, and the weapon is in the wrong position. So let's fix that stuff first. And to do that, we want to go to the framework folder and open up our menu controller. And the first thing we're going to fix is the unarmed animation. So if we are in the menu controller, we want to go to the update loadout character event. And in the true branch over here, we're simply setting an animation to play, and that's Quinn's unarmed animation. So we need to make sure this is working for Quinn and Eli as well. So let's make a little bit of room over here. And then we can disconnect this part. So make sure this is still working. Set skinned asset and update. That's good to go. So we simply remove the weapon mesh, so we don't need to worry about that. And then we want to get a table row name from our customization table. So let's get a table row. And we want to select our character customization table in here. Then we can grab our player profile info and let's break it. So we can grab the character row name and plug it into the table row over here, and then we can break our character customization structure, and we can grab our model and skin mapping, and we want to find a mapping in here. And for the input of the map, we're gonna grab our model name and plug it in here. So that will return another structure, so we can break that one, the model and skin structure. And in here we actually have our lobby animation, so we can drag off there and do an async load asset. Drag off the lobby animation, async load asset. So we're gonna plug this into the row found pin. And then if we are completed, we want to cast this to an animation sequence. So anim sequence. And let's turn it into a pure cast. So now we can hook this one up to the completed pin and plug in our animation sequence. So make sure looping is still enabled, and that should fix the unarmed animation. And now to fix the position of the weapon, we actually need to go to the menu GameMode. So let's close the controller and open up our menu GameMode. In here we have a function called is this the good one? Yes, set model and skin. So set lobby character model and skin. We want to go to this event and then all the way at the end over here. So we set the skin materials, and after that we simply want to check which character we are currently using. So we're going to plug this in and also the false pin from this branch over here. And we're going to grab the character row name from the event, go over here and compare it. So it's equal to. So if our character is Eli, plug it in here. If it's Eli, we want to change the position of the weapon. So what we could do is simply grab our character mesh and our weapon mesh from the lobby character. So we have the lobby character as an input from the event. That's the blue pin over here. So I'm simply going to drag off here and I'm going to get my character mesh. So the actual component. And then I'm also going to get my weapon mesh. So again, drag off the lobby character, get weapon mesh. And again, get the actual component all the way at the bottom. And then we can simply reattach them. So we're going to attach a component to component. And we don't need the default scene root. So we're going to attach the weapon mesh. So that's the target to the character mesh. So that's the parent. And if we are Eli, we want to attach it to our weapon R socket. So we want to grab our socket name, weapon R socket. And then we're going to set the location rule to snap to target. And for the rotation rule, we also want to snap to target. So this should be good to go for Eli. And then we can copy and paste this. So if we are another character, Quinn in this case, we're gonna grab the character mesh as a target and the weapon mesh. The weapon mesh as a target and the character mesh as a parent. And in this case, we're gonna attach it to our weapon R bone. So not the correction socket we placed, but just the bone. And for the rotation rule, we're gonna set keep relative. And then we want to drag off the weapon mesh again and set the relative rotation. So set relative rotation and make sure that we set the rotation on the z-axis to -90. So -90. And that should be good to go. So compile and save. And what we just did is just what's in the actual character. So over here, our weapon mesh has a -90 rotation over here and is attached to our weapon R socket. So over here in the construction script. And for Eli, it's attached to our weapon R socket. So, okay, that was confusing, but this is named weapon R socket and the other one is the weapon R bone. So I'm sorry. So that should fix the lobby character for Eli. Then we also want to take a look at the physics material, as I mentioned. So if we go to characters, heroes, Eli, and then we can go to the materials folder. And in here, let's see. So we have the materials and the material instances. So we actually want to grab the materials, and I made different colors of Eli. So if you didn't do that, you might only have the normal one. So I can simply open up the base material and assign the physics material over here. So we want to set it to our physics material body, like so. Compile, or not compile, but save it. And then I want to do the same thing for the other colors that I created. So I'm going to pause it and quickly do that. So I updated all the physical materials. Let's have a quick look if this is working. So I'm going to select the weapon, and right now the weapon is actually aligned. So that's a bit better. And if I unequip a weapon, I actually have an unarmed pose. So that's good to go as well. So I'm not sure what's happened to my materials right now, but I'm not going to worry about that. So let's start the game and see if the physical material is working as well. So right now we should have the extra sparks coming off, and that's working as well. So as you can see, there are 2 impact effects playing right now. So that's working. We have some errors, but that's nothing to worry about. So the next thing I want to do is take a look at our weapon pickups. So if we package our game, we have an issue with the weapon pickups. They don't show the actual meshes. So they do work. You do get the name above the pickup and you can actually pick everything up, but the mesh just doesn't show. So we are actually talking about the weapon pickups that we are using in free-for-all, team deathmatch and that kind of stuff. So I'm not talking about the pickup from the inventory system, from the actual other YouTube series, but this is from the pickups we added in the multiplayer project at the beginning of the series, so around episode 20, I think. And what we want to do is open up the pickup base inside of the gameplay loot folder. And we are actually setting up all of this stuff inside of the construction script. And what we can do is simply grab all of this and cut it away from here. And we're going to go to the event graph and simply paste it in here and move it to event begin play. So let's grab event begin play over here. Now we are setting the pickup name, so we want to make sure that we do that at the end of the event. So plug event begin play into the table row pin. Then we're going to do everything we did in the construction script, and at the end we can plug in our set widget pickup name. This should fix it in most of the cases. And now, because we are not in the construction script, we can also add a weight in here. So we could create a boolean and then make sure that the map and everything is loaded, and then wait until next tick until the boolean is true, and then start setting everything up. So in the worst case, we can make changes in here, but in most cases this should fix the issue. So compile and save, and that should be good to go. Excuse me. And now if we do the same thing in our inventory, so on a little side note, this isn't actually part of this series, so depending on if you follow the inventory series, you do have this stuff in here or not. So I'm not going to elaborate on it too much. I'm going to do this in an actual video for the inventory. But if you want to set the pickup in the same way, then you can simply grab all of this stuff from the construction script and move it over to the event graph begin play. Only difference here is we are using a server branch and replicating some stuff. So then what you want to do is go over here, make the pickup name a rep notify variable, and just set it at the end over here. And then make the rep notify variable call a custom event that sets the name on the actual pickup. So that way the server can run the construction script stuff in begin play and then quote unquote multicast the pickup name to the clients. So that's for the multiplayer inventory series. Okay, so that should take care of most of our pickup issues in a packaged build. Then there is one quick thing I want to show you about the weapons, and that's how to quickly and easily set up reload sounds. So I've been ignoring sounds in general, and that's kind of an issue I have had my entire life. So it's kind of a waste because sounds are really important for the game and they do really make a huge difference. And to set up some reloading sounds is actually not too hard. So if we go to the weapons folder to the migrated animations, and we can simply open up one of these reload animations. So I'm going to go to the pistol reload, for example. And then we can add notifies where we want to play sounds. So this is going to be pretty simple. Let me see, we should have some sounds in here as well. So let me double check where we actually put those. That should be under effects, and then no, that's under audio, of course. And then sounds, weapons, and in here we have folders for each weapon, and inside of this folder there are some normal sounds you can use. So we have clip in, clip out, and then if we scroll down we have the slide moving. So there are a few sounds in here you can use for reloading. So what we can do, for example, we're gonna select our clip out sound in here, and then if I go back to the reload animation, so that's this one. So we want to look for the moment where the clip is actually leaving the weapon. So that's right here where it starts moving, as you can see. And then we can simply add a notify. So on the notify track, you want to right click, add notify, and then down here you can use a play sound notify. So simply select that one. Now, because I had this sound selected in the content browser, it will automatically assign it. So right now, right here at this moment in the animation, it will play this sound. And because this is a notify and the animation is multicasted to all other clients, you don't need to worry about replicating this. This will play for everybody. Now, what you might want to do is increase the volume a little bit over here, but I'm going to leave that up to you. And that's really all you need to do. So we have the clip out, and then we can also do clip in, for example. So let's select that one and move the animation. So over here, our clip goes back in. So I'm going to right click, add notify, play sound. And this is my clip in sound. So I'm going to increase the volume again a little bit. And then we have a slide sound as well. So let's select that one, pistol slide. Go back to the animation and look for the moment the slide is moving. No, that's not really what I wanted to do. There we go. So that's over here. And again, we're going to add a notify, play sound. and we have the pistol slide sound. So let me increase the volume again. And that should work. So right now, if we go in game, we should have some working sounds. And you can do the same thing for the other weapons, obviously. So I'm not going to show each and every one because that's just a bit tedious. So I'm not sure if you can hear it on the video, but there are actually reload sounds playing. So that's good to go as well. So next up, I want to take a look at setting up some health pickups. So to start doing that, we want to go to our character. So let's open up the base character. And in here, we want to go to the construction script and we want to add maximum values for the health. So we know what the maximum health of the player is. It's not always 100. We have it set up so it could be lower. And maybe you're gonna have pickups in your level or power-ups that will increase maximum health as well. So we need a variable to tell us what the maximum health of the player is. So we're gonna do that in the construction script. Let's drag off the health over here and promote to variable. And we're gonna call that health maximum. And we might as well do the same thing for our strength and stamina. So I'm gonna use the stamina later in the series. I actually have a stamina bar set up and we can actually start using it. And for the strength, I'm just gonna add it for completion's sake. So you might use this or change the variable name and use it in another way, or maybe get rid of it, but that's entirely up to you. So we have health maximum, stamina maximum, and also our strength maximum. So we want to make sure we actually set all of this stuff. So connect everything up. And then we want to copy them and paste them over here for the team deathmatch branch as well. So let's hook those up as well. So we have maximum setters over here and maximum setters over here. That's good to go. Let's compile and save it. And now we can create an actual pickup. So let's go to our gameplay loot folder. And I'm simply going to make a new child of the pickup base. And I'm going to make that our health pickup. So keep in mind, these are pretty much meant for the free-for-all, team deathmatch and those kind of game modes where it's more of an fast-paced arcade-like Call of Duty game mode where you can just run and gun. So there's no really a need for an inventory and stuff you can stack and go in an inventory and select stuff. So that's all way too tedious in my opinion. So in those kind of games, you just want to have a pickup you run over and you pick it up. So that's what we're going to do. So for the pickup base, I'm going to right click, create a new child blueprint class, and that's going to be my BP child, and then pickup health. So let's open it up. And first let's set up our viewport. So I'm going to use a particle system that I got from the original shooter project. So that's not the Lyra game, but the previous shooter project from Unreal Engine 4. And in there were actually some particle systems, and we are already using those for the ammo pickup. And there's also one for health, so I'm going to use that one for the health pickup. So do I need to show on the marketplace where that is? Well, let me quickly show you. So if you go to the marketplace and search for shooter game with a space in between there, you got the Epic Games shooter game. So in here, if you download this project, that's where I got the FX from. So that's this one. So let's go back to the actual pickup. And for that, I'm gonna add a particle system to it. So let's do that first. We have the root add and then particle system. So this is a cascade one, not a Niagara one, unfortunately. And then in here, I'm gonna search for my health pickup and plug it in. So that's good to go. Now we want to go to the construction script and set up some defaults for this pickup. So we're not going to run the parent construction script. are we? No, because we just deleted all of that from the construction script, so that's good to go. Sorry, I just had a brain fart. And then we can go to our variables over here and make sure that we show inherited variables. And that will give us the default variables from the pickup, and we want to set some defaults. So we're going to drag in the show pickup name, and then also show interactable hint, and then auto pickup and its ammo pickup. So we want to make sure that we set it to auto pickup and leave the rest to false, and plug everything in here. And the last thing we want to do is destroy our pickup mesh and our pickup mesh skeletal, because we're not using meshes, we're using the particle system. So we're going to destroy these components, plug it in here and plug in both of them. So that's good to go. I'm going to turn off the inherited variables to clean things up a little bit. And then we can go to the end graph. And in here we can set things up pretty easily. The first thing I'm going to do is add a variable, and that's the health amount that's going to be added by this pickup. So health amount, I'm going to turn it into a float, and then make sure that this float is actually instance editable and exposed on spawn, so we can set different health amounts for each pickup. And then we want to grab our event interact with actor. So that's from the interface. We're going to implement it over here as well. And the first thing we're going to do is grab a branch and then check if the player actually needs health. So we're going to drag off the player character and we're going to get the health. And we're also going to get the maximum health. And we want to make sure that the health is actually less than the maximum health. So less than. Plug it in and plug that into the branch. So if this is false, we don't need to pick up anything because we are full health already. Then we're going to drag off the player character and we're going to set the health. So this needs to be connected to the true pin. And then we can simply grab the character health again. And this time we're going to add the health amount from this pickup. So add and then add our health amount over here. The only thing we want to do is make sure we clamp it so we don't exceed our maximum health. So drag off the result and we're going to clamp a float over here. And for the max, we can simply grab our health maximum and plug that in over here. So minimum 0, maximum our max health. Plug this into the setter. That's good to go. And then we want to update the health for the player. And we have a function for that, or an event actually. So if we drag off, we can call our HUD update health over here. Plug it in and simply plug in our new health value. And that should pretty much be everything we need to do. So right now we should have a working pickup. And we want to add it to the level. So let's open up our level. That's our multiplayer map. And then open up a viewport. There we go. Oh, come on. So let me just drop a few of them in the level over here. So we have our pickup health. And then in the details panel, we want to make sure we actually set the health amount over here. So that can be something like 20, for example. And then we can copy it if we would like to. So we have a few of them lying around. So I'm going to make these two 20, and then I'm going to put 2 of them over here, and those will have 10 health. So there's a difference in there as well. So that should be good. Now I noticed we do have a pickup row name, and we don't actually need to do anything with it, I think. No, we should be good to go, just leaving that empty. Let me quickly double check. Yeah, we should be good to go. So we are not actually using a data table, so that should be fine. So we have them set up in the level. Let's save it and then make sure everything is working by running a quick test. So I'm starting a quick free-for-all match to check if the health pickup is working or not. So we do actually need to be damaged, obviously. So that's why I'm running a 2-player game. So let me shoot him in the leg 2 times. And now if I pick this up, you can see my health is actually increasing, but we forgot to call destroy actor afterwards. So I think we should be good to go. Let's open up our pickup health. And what we actually want to do, event interact with actor. So if this is picked up, we want to destroy the actor. And then we are good to go for this pickup. Now, what I do want to do is actually show a little message on the screen if you pick something up. So right now it wasn't really obvious what happened unless you were watching the health bar. So let's make sure that we have a small hint on screen if we pick something up. And to do that, we want to go to the widgets folder, and I actually want to reuse our newsfeed row. And that is something that got added in the inventory series. So you might not actually have it. So if you don't have the newsfeed row, you can create a new widget, and that's just a normal user widget. You're going to call it a newsfeed row or anything else what you like. And the only thing it needs is a text. So you can simply drag on a text, no canvas panel or anything like that. Turn the text into a variable and then make sure you have the correct font and stuff set up. And that's pretty much the newsfeed row. No, that's not true, by the way. For the designer, you want to go to the window and then animations tab. And I actually have made a small animation to fade out the text. So what you can do is create a new animation by clicking here, new animation, and then name it. After you have that selected, you can go to the panel over here and simply go to the opacity, for example. So we have color and opacity. And then you want to keyframe it. So let me go to this new animation. I'm going to go to the opacity, keyframe it at 0, 1. So you will see color and opacity is now 1 over here. Then I'm going to move the animation to, let's say, about half a second. Set the alpha to 0 and then keyframe it again. So now I have an animation that will fade the text in and out. So that's how you can make a quick and easy UI animation. And we're going to use this animation in the event graph. So let me get rid of this one. I already had it. I made the fade out 1 second, by the way, so you can drag the keyframes around if you made it half a second or keep it like that, whatever you prefer. Then in the graph for event construct, we want to add the newsfeed text. That's a text variable that's instance editable and exposed on spawn. So we're going to go to event construct, set the newsfeed text to our newsfeed text, simply set text. We're going to wait 3 seconds and then I'm going to play the UI animation. So the UI animation that you made simply appears under variables, animations. You can drag it in and then drag off the animation and look for this node. So we don't need to change anything in here. And then the animation lasts 1 second. So I'm going to wait for another second and then I'm going to remove myself from the parent. So simply get rid of this newsfeed line. So if we set it up like this, then we can add it to a vertical box or a border or anything like that. And after 3 seconds, it will start fading out and then remove itself without us having to worry about it. So this is our newsfeed row. You want to set this up and then you also want to add one new variable to it. So we're going to add a new variable and that's the text color. And we also want to make this instance editable and exposed on spawn. And then let me quickly check. So I think that's a linear color, but it might be a slate color. No, it's a slate color. So we're going to turn this into a slate color over here. And what we want to do is move over this box. And we're going to drag off the text for the newsfeed line and we're going to set the color and opacity. And simply plug in our text color that we just created. So now we can set the color of the newsfeed line when we spawn it. So that's good to go. Compile and save it. Let's close it down and go to our in-game HUD widget. So this is where we're gonna add it to. So I'm switching my notes quickly. So we already have a newsfeed for the actual inventory. So you might think this is a little bit of double work. On one hand, yes. On the other hand, the newsfeed for the inventory is all the way to the right over here. And if you are in the middle of a fight and you pick up ammo or weapons or things like that, that's pretty important. And also, if you don't have stamina or something like that, you might really want to know that. So we're going to display these messages in the center of the screen right under the crosshair. And also for the people that are not following the inventory series, they don't have the newsfeed at all, so they still need one. So that's why I decided to do it. So really all we want to do is grab a border and we're going to drag it on top of our canvas panel. So we're going to call this our border player hints, for example. So underscore player hints. And the border needs to be a variable. Then I'm going to give it my default black color. So that's all zeros, and then give it some alpha. So 0.5 maybe. And let me align it, so anchor center of screen, and I want to make it size to content actually. So we're going to enable size to content and then make sure the alignment is 0.5. So it should be centered if we get rid of the position values. Oh, now it's all the way up, so we want to set position Y to something like 120 or 100 maybe, something like that. So it's size to content, and then inside of the border we're gonna drop a vertical box. So let's grab a vertical box, drop it in here, and then for the vertical box we're gonna turn it into a variable as well, and we're gonna call this our vertbox player hints. So enable is variable. Then let me see, for alignment, let's set it to center, and then that should be good. And for the border, by default we want to set it to hidden, so visibility and then hidden, and that should be good as well. So we have it set up in the designer, and now we can go to the graph. So the first thing we want to do, and that's mainly for the people that are using the inventory, we already had the add line to newsfeed function. We want to open this up, and in here we actually added the new input. So let's refresh the node over here and make sure that we set the correct text color. And for the newsfeed, that's actually just white text, at least in my case. So what I can do is make a slate color and then make a linear color and simply put all ones in here. So that should fix the newsfeed. Make sure you update this with the correct color. And then we want to create our show player hint function. So that's a new function we're going to make that's pretty similar to this one. So let's create a new function, show player hint. We're going to give it two inputs, so the color and the hint text, but we can actually do that pretty easily. So first we're going to create a widget, and we want to create our newsfeed row. So that will give us the inputs, so we can simply drag them on top of the node. So we have our newsfeed text and our text color with a nice spelling error in here. There we go. And for the owning player, we can actually grab the player controller from the variables. So we already have it in place, so why not use it? And then we're gonna grab our vert box for the player hints. And we wanna add a child. Plug it in here, and the return value is the content we wanna add. And then we can simply return, and that's all we need to do. Now, by the way, I am realizing that we don't actually want to set the visibility to hidden. So we have it set to size to content. So if there is no content in it, we don't see it because it's 0 pixels essentially. So we don't need to actually hide it. We can simply go to the border, and by default we're gonna leave it to visible, and that should work fine. So compile and save. Now we want to go to our hero base character. So we can add a function in there to create a hint for the clients. So let's open up our hero base character, go to the event graph, and we should actually have a bunch of events somewhere. So that's update HUD. No. Oh, really? I don't know what I'm doing. There we go. So all of these events, I'm going to put them right next to them. So let's create a new one, and we're going to call this one. Oh, really? What am I doing? So create a custom event, and I'm going to call this one client HUD, and then show player hint. So the name of these events is a bit weird because it shouldn't really say client, but we started it, so we might as well continue it. We're going to run it on owning client, and then we can simply grab our in-game HUD, and we want to show a player hint, so we can call the function and pass on the variables. So now we can have the server call this event, and it will display it for the local client on the widget. So the only thing left is go into our pickup health. So let's go back to loot, pickup health. And in here we want to call our show player hint. So let me grab my notes quickly. And we can simply drag off the player character, and we're going to call our HUD show player hint. So do it before we destroy the actor. There we go. And then we can format text. And I'm simply going to say a plus sign, open bracket, a close bracket, and then health. So it's going to display 20 plus 20 health, for example. So for the A pin, we can drag in the health amount. And I'm going to use a truncate. So then it will remove the decimals and things like that. And after that, we want to make sure we set a text color as well. So we can drag off here, for example, make a slate color, and then simply select the color in here. So I'm going to add health. So I'm going to make this a bit greenish. There we go. So right now, if we pick up a health pickup, we should also get a message on screen. So let's run a quick test. And then I think we are done for today. So good to go, free for all. Let's start the game. And that's working so far. So let me shoot him in the leg again. And I have a really terrible performance. Oh, come on, you can do it just a little bit. And there you see plus 20 health if I pick it up. So that's good to go. And I can't pick up the other one right now because I have full health. So that's working. And what you could do, for example, is go to the pickup health. And then if this is false, so if the player is full health, you can also display a pickup hint and then say health full, for example. So you can use this in multiple ways, obviously. Okay, so we have a pickup hint done as well, and I think for today we're gonna leave it at this. So then in the next episode we can do some pickups for equipment and make sure that we don't actually pick things up if we have full ammo. we can start working on the distance-based damage and location-based.